Make you feel like, make you feel doomy and gloomy. Anyway, this is friend of the show, FD Signifier, talking about the Manosphere. But this part of it is important, I think. What the left needs to do better.
For most of you, I'm not saying anything you don't already know. In fact, I imagine that if you're here on the left side of YouTube, that almost everything I've spoken about here is pretty well understood on some level. So my question is, what are we doing about this? Of all of the topics and issues that we on the left understand and argue about, there is no bigger weakness in our rhetoric, in our ideas, than our ability to understand and engage with masculinity. And I can show you right now my analytics that the majority of my viewership are men. So this speaks to this idea that there is such a great demand for anti-SJW content and that leftist and progressive content is not as viable with this population. So this begs the question, even though of course I am not as big as some of these other Manosphere creators, can we blame YouTube for pulling people deeper into these holes if they aren't actively being sucked in by YouTube's algorithm? The research says no. Noah Sampson.
For the record, this is the reason why I do all this other stuff too. This is the reason why I have a variety of different kind of content. Sometimes you might be thinking, Hasan, why the f are you covering this? Why are you covering something that like I don't think is immediately important or political? Or why are you doing this collaboration? Why are you, I don't know, why are you giving like even health advice from time to time? The reason why I do all of that, including like the reason why I want to make sure that there's, you know, some steady flow of content even on my TikTok, right? As I have, as I was showing you earlier, and a lot of you were like complaining and crying. But the reason why I do that is because I want to flood the space with as much like, I want to flood the space and counter all the negative propaganda that surrounds me as best as possible, with the ultimate goal of bringing people back in here and having these sorts of conversations and have those weirdos come in here with an open mind rather than come in here to just be, you know what I mean? Every single one of you from one way or another encountered my content and commentary or some other form where I was like either I don't know, talking about some or appearing on someone else's broadcast, and you saw that and you were like, I'm gonna check this guy out. I want to see that. And that's why I promote this and that's why I ask you to juice this content too whenever I have like, again, like a TikTok or whatever. Because I want to make sure that like, especially in areas where there's like hella misinformation like TikTok, I want to make sure that there's like I want to make sure that there's a counter to all of that. Found you through the All Gas No Breaks podcast when that was still going on. I started watching on 1/6. There you go. Saw you first on Facebook. I discovered you from Con. Yeah. No one is like, let me find who the politics man on Twitch is. Everybody finds me in moments like that, and then they become fans because they're like, yeah, you know what? I kind of agree with this guy. Found you from that Tarkov video where you were screaming like a bitch. This was what drew me to your content 100%. I was aimless throughout a lot of high school looking for masculine role models. I grew up with a single mom. I watched your antidote to instil them on recommendation from a friend, and it spoke really deeply. Side note, you should release a new version. Having a healthy approach to masculinity that acknowledges how hard it is to perform masculinity is so important for the left. You were in Mogul Money, lol. Yeah, there you go. I started watching you because you were gaming with the juicer. Juicer to HasanAbi pipeline is real. Yeah. Saw you on an MP Low stream and got curious. Disagreed a lot with you at the time. A lot has changed since then. Yep. And that's the point. That's why I do some of this stuff. Some of you are already looking for content that's leftist. Some of you are already looking for content that's already leftist, right? You're like, yeah, I'm going to watch this. I'm looking for a leftist commentator. Watching protest footage on Woke, and the day you were watching Will, and I was like, what the f? He's stealing content. Yeah. And then others are in here. Others are in here because they saw me do some, right? They saw me. Fuck. I found you via 821 and needed to know more, but what you talk about is literally what I believe in since birth. I just didn't know it was called socialism. Yeah. Found you 2 years ago when I was deep into Jordan Peterson. And you were the one I could find that can explain to me how wrong and blind I was. I thought you were right wing until Atrioc one stream said you two had very similar politics. And I was like, oh, yeah. But that's why it's that easy for you to take a shot in the dark and like watch me and then get to know what my politics are and appreciate that and come back and have your mind changed. But it's just as easy to also have people just be like, this guy sucks. This guy's a grifter. This guy's a piece of shit. Which is why I try to counter that as much as I can by trying to flood the market. You know, you average just as many viewers as Misgive. What does that mean? What? I found you with your Ukraine war coverage. Been in every month since. Thank you. You have Soda Pop and streaming Trump to thank for me. I ended up here somehow. Started watching in 2019. Had no idea what leftism was, but you were on the Train Scuff podcast. And I was like, this man's pretty cool. I no longer watch Train. Anyway, this is the clip that brought me here. For today. Dude, I feel so bad. Damn, that was 3 years ago. Little man, go to your bed. Go to your bed. What? Oh, he hates the cone so much. I don't want to have the cone on him, but I have to keep him on. Get him a nicer cone. Is the cone that they gave me at the... Oof. Baby! Fish! Found you when Timple mentioned you a few months back. Changed my perspective on a lot of stuff. Also helped me quit smoking with gum. I think I saw clips of you on TikTok making fun of idiots and checked your stream. Didn't heard that it was a year ago when you were at your hottest. I wasn't at my hottest a year ago. Check Ludwig's last message. What did he say? I made you. What the Who is this guy? Probably someone I should un-VIP, right? He's not on the platform. Yeah, I think I should un-VIP them. Right? We were looking to open up space for VIPs, right? People that are actually in here. You have removed Ludwig as a VIP on this channel. Yeah, not verified either, so I don't know who the that guy is. Chat, don't make fun of him. He'll ban you. Oh, everybody said Elwig. You've given him too much power? No, I don't care. Gave her mostly conservative ideas by watching your stream. Found you through Mischief, actually. That's nice. Saw someone on Twitter replying to one of your AOC Among Us tweets saying you were racist. Looked into your YouTube to see why AOC was promoting someone like that. And now I've been here for almost 2 years. That's great. I wish more people would do stuff like that rather than just be like, yeah, I hate that guy. Yeah, I guess he is racist. That's surreal. That is like, yeah, one combo with Hutch while I was trying to find a political streamer, and you gave me the knowledge I needed to know how to express myself as a leftist. You also motivated me to lose 60 pounds during COVID. Congratulations, chatter. Yeah. Look at my follow date. 1-6. I mean, that's not, there's a lot of people like that. I was a centrist Rogan head until a video of you owning Crowder popped up on my YouTube feed after George Floyd's murder. RIP, you were my intro into leftist ideas. Earthquake 24. Crazy thing is, I think I found you through Ray. Really? We haven't even done that much content together. But that's the point, dude. It's like, that's all it takes. Found you because a lot of Twitter leftists on you, but as a but a leftist comedian I adore mentioned you a few times. I was like, F it, I'm gonna start watching the streams. I'm here every day. Ludwig previously subscribed. Why isn't he currently subscribed? I hope he gets a lot of ads. Yeah, especially at the top of the hour when there's a 60-second ad break being served. You know what I mean? Because, like, at the top of the hour, there's a 60-second ad break. And if you no longer want to see those ads, you have to subscribe. Doesn't matter if you're a mod or not. Been here for 3. I'm the most boring followers. I just wanted to see why you had. I'm the most boring followers since I just wanted to see why you had so many viewers for the 2020 election. That's how it works. I actually thought you were a piece of shit, but after a while, I just got more and more in tune with you, lol. You converted me. Yeah, there's definitely some people who come in who thinks I'm a piece of who think I'm a piece of shit too. I'm here because of Austin. You were in some lover host and I was hooked because you talk politics. However, I thought you were a chud since you are a Chad. Yeah. I came in for the Among Us stream for AOC and Corpse and fell in love with your content. That's so funny. I found you because of the one time you talked the dream on stream. So yeah, I think that for as many people, I mean, there's definitely a lot of people who are just like, oh, he's a grifter. And then there's like hella people that don't actually check in to see if that's true or not, or come in to check in. There's probably right now, there's probably someone exactly like you in the chat who's in here because he's like, oh, this guy I've heard is a grifter. I heard he's a piece of shit. I heard he sucks. Got me involved in the socialist movement, got me involved in the Sanders and Democrat volunteering in Texas. There's someone in here right now who literally is in here because he's seen like some random Twitter thread being like, this guy's a racist or transphobe or whatever. They're like, wait a minute, this guy's like literally defending trans people. Why the f are people saying he's a racist? So that's it. I thought you were a lib when I first started watching, but after your Palestine coverage, I was convinced of your anti-imperialist bona fides and that you weren't a grifter. Yeah. Anyway. But of course, most people are in because of positive interactions that I've had with other people, other content creators that I like, that they like. So, that's it. Found you when you debated against train wrecks. Thanks to you, I got hooked on your content. You helped me learn how to articulate my ideas so much better. Thank you. Heard about you in 2021 when I went from a hogwatch Reddit. I followed my brother fall down the 4chan pipeline. I was a liberal before I watched him, basically trying to fight racism and hogs, and I realized there was much more than that. Thanks, Hasan. Now I'm planning on joining DSA and becoming a political agitator. All right, let's continue with this though. The reason why I have like or talk about some of these like issues that pertain to masculinity and the issues that pertain to men and how to better ourselves while still maintaining like some semblance of masculinity and improve yourself is because it's important. It's important. Anyway, also important is the top of the hour ad break, which I said I was going to serve the Ludwig, but I forgot. Here's the 1 minute ad break now. Here's the, also, I'm going to go pee real quick.
Addressed this in a video a little while back, and I found 2 different papers published in the last couple of years that also support this claim. Both found that the only people who fell deep into those types of rabbit holes of aggressive, violent, racist, etc. content were people who greatly were predisposed to that type of worldview to begin with, i.e. ones who are already looking for it. The algorithm and YouTube on its own is not as powerful as we like to think in terms of radicalizing normies, at least not anymore. I think this is something significant to understand. On one end, I am somewhat skeptical of the research because the one question I have is that what counts as predisposed for that type of content? So much of how we teach boys and men to see masculinity could easily predispose a good amount of young men to pursue radical content. But more significantly, if we recognize that there is a battle for the proliferation of certain ideas among this population, but we still see the massive influence and reach of everything between Gary Vee on to Jordan Peterson for men and boys, then to me that says that we aren't really putting our best foot forward to address this on the left. A video essayist, Macabre Storytelling, did a pretty awesome video on his experience with pickup artist communities. He bravely admitted that he had unironically spent some time in the community and then got out, and while in, he noticed that most of the men were just normal men who were like him, trying to get better at talking to women. He also noticed that although he could see the flaws in the community and that there were several great content creators who had done excellent breakdowns of why pickup artistry was bad, when it was time for him to find a better alternative to pickup artistry and Manosphere type content, a lot of these creators didn't have as much to offer.
Whoa there. These guys may seem like your saving grace, but their methods may lead to you only seeing women as objects to be won. Ah, yes, I can see that. Glad you let me know this before I got too deep into it. Bye, cringelords. No. Awesome. So, can you help me? Help you with what? Well, like I said, I am pretty insecure when it comes to women. Oh, well, just be confident. Just be confident? Yeah, just, be confident. There's plenty of fish in the sea. You'll find the right girl eventually. Well, thanks, but I was hoping for some more substantial advice. Like, my mom told me the exact same thing, and it isn't really all that practical or specific, so there may be Hello?
That's where I come in. It's like a muscle. Shut the up, chat. It's right, though. It's true. Do you want me to lie to you, or do you want me to tell you what worked for me and hope that it can work for you, too? That's why we do Chad Vice, too.
And to me, more than the edgelord stuff, more than any dunks I landed on Jordan Peterson, this is the most important takeaway I hope people get from this video.
Like, honestly, I've improved my life so much by examining my own toxic masculinity and examining my own, like, why don't I let myself cry? Why is that? Who am I trying to impress? That has only been good for me. That has been a vast improvement in my life. And I wish that for everyone. Yeah, it's interesting, right? I guess like all of these alienated like white dudes who are susceptible to the PewDie pipeline types, like they are looking for guidance. They're looking for some answer to their problems, and I can definitely like understand. Like it would be nice to have somewhere on the left that was speaking to that group. I'm the one who's being oppressed here. Like, how dare you accuse me of like feeding into that, and like that defensiveness. It makes it very difficult to pull people out in some cases when they're, they've gotten caught up in these movements.
I understand that there are some barriers in terms of how well we can talk about it, as well as how well we can give that message to individuals who maybe aren't that open-minded to it, or if they are not going to necessarily be the best folks to engage with on a regular basis in this type of political discourse. Many of the biggest figures on LeftTube are women, but LeftTube is not without its fair share of creators who, regardless of gender expression or sexuality, present masculine and have large swaths of mass viewers who they appeal to. So it's not an absence of opportunity, it's kind of an absence of efficiency and effort. And again, I understand why. So much of how all of us have been taught to understand masculinity is built around these destructive and toxic frameworks. Many of us, myself included, are in a constant negotiation with masculinity as something we value and identify with, but also something we've had to in some ways unpack and relearn in order to get healthier. Some of us don't know how to define, perform, and embody masculinity without the toxic elements that we agree shouldn't be there. A few weeks ago, Kendrick Lamar released what amounts to a recorded therapy session for Black men in the form of an album, and I think it was great. The album manages to address Black men's internal struggles with trauma and masculinity and toxicity and queer and transphobia in a way that I never could. But in the process, he misgendered and dad-named and even platformed a known predator in the hip-hop community. I would argue that even those bad parts of this album make it even more effective.
This is, by the way, this is from FD Signifier. Friend of the show, FD Signifier is connecting the Manosphere video. We'll be linking in the chat. Mods have been linking it already.
For addressing and engaging with a population of Black men who are not going to read Antonio Gramsci anytime.
They're so annoying. Please help. I can't date. It's like a muscle. Dude, what do you want me to do, bro? Take your cock out, jerk it, and then shove it into a... Like, what the do you mean? Y'all are so ruthless. This is why I don't do Chad Vice anymore. Because this is why I don't do Chat Vice anymore. Because you are constantly like, hey, my problems. You're giving like good advice, but you keep having to repeat yourself while giving good advice. No, I don't want that. Please stop giving me good advice. That's you. That's what you sound like. Compared to Black Pillar saying no one will ever like you because pulls out 500 reasons. Yeah, that's what I should say. Whenever someone's like, hey, man, I got these issues, like I can't talk to girls, whatever. I should just turn around and be like, yeah, because your skull density and skull circumference is all up, and that's the reason why you'll never get. And like every girl that you even have a conversation with, they're gonna want to someone else secretly. Like, is that better? Secretly, they're constantly looking to one up you. Screaming be normal at us is the best advice. I mean, sometimes you can't though. Can you literally give good gay dating advice? I need help finding a bottom for being a selfish top. Okay, well, I can't give you that. I don't know. It's completely outside of my realm of expertise.
Time soon. But at the same time, I don't have the same perspective as femme and queer participators in this discourse that feel put off and uncomfortable at this type of rhetoric being loosely used in any situation. I hope this doesn't sound like complaining. I hope it sounds like the numerous layers of complexity around engaging with masculinity from this weird progressive standpoint, and why I feel like a lot of men on the left maybe just avoid the minefield altogether. On one end, there's an innate fear of making the wrong move or saying the wrong thing and maybe getting canceled. But also there is an innate fear, I think, that we somehow end up reproducing the same problems and frameworks that we are hoping to defeat.
It's like super important to me now to not even be perceived as like someone that is toxic to like progress, you know. A lot of my old videos and old ideas I still like basically agree with, but I'm like very careful about how I say things and what I say, because I want it to be clear that, whose team I'm not on, basically.
When you see the way that some men on the left act, when you see how many a celebrity or professed male feminist shows themselves to be in the long run when push comes to shove, you see how this fear is warranted. But we should also hopefully see that this is not an ideal state of affairs for our goals, and that by avoiding these topics and this whole area of gender discourse, we're only empowering our enemies to corner the market on that topic.
I agree with this 100%.
Making things better by not being explicit about engaging masculinity.
I agree with this 1,000,000%.
No shade to anyone, but it's not hard to on chuds and make fun of alpha male podcasts or to call out obvious doing the obvious things. Those things are important, but they are also abundant on the platform. What we don't have is a lot of analysis on boyhood, men's experiences in sexuality and sexual development, men's body issues, and God forbid, some type of useful engagement with boys and men, learning how to talk to women and engaging in partnering. We've got some elements of that present, but we could be doing a lot more.
I think a lot of people think that they're doing enough already. It's kind of like the difference between being not racist and being anti-racist. Okay. I think it's great and amazing if you're not racist. You don't say slurs. Dude, that's freaking give me some. Sick, dude. Nice one.
You know what's funny though? I think what a lot of I agree with what everyone is saying here, but I also think that they're failing to consider one important thing. And that is that maybe they're not capable of doing such things. You know what I mean? I think there are just some people just straight up are not good at it. I don't think that maybe H Bomber guy is not going to be capable of doing it. And I think I am, for the record. And I think I try as best as I can. You 100% thought it was the top of the hour? No, man. I'm trying to download Studio Ghibli, however you say it, movies currently onto my phone before I get on this flight. That's stealing? No, man. I'm on the HBO app, man. I think chatters need to understand that confidence comes from self-love. You need to learn to love yourself before you can truly be successful in the dating scene. Absolutely. even then, what does H Bomber Guy not be able to? H Bomber Guy, everyone else, like these are brilliant content creators. I love them, but they might not be the best possible person to give advice on what to do. Feel me? Like, not everyone is going to be good at that. Not everyone is going to be confident enough. Not everyone feels like they are well equipped to give that kind of advice. I'm hoping you were plugging that phone into the PJ. You ain't got an iPad laptop. I do not have an iPad. I do have a laptop, but I don't have to. I don't want to use the laptop. I'm just using H Bomber Guy as one example. It doesn't have to be that. Yeah, I agree, but it's also so vague sometimes beyond good hygiene and being chill. What is this? You need to breed content ecosystem. That's what the right has figured out. I have a content ecosystem. It's you guys. I have the most important and most successful content ecosystem on the planet. It's grassroots too. That's why we have the HasanAbi Clips Industrial Complex. That's it. And you know what I mean? That's it. That's the whole point. I have you. That's all I have. But it's also all I need, really. That's why I asked you to juice. I wouldn't say it's a requirement to have great self-esteem to date. I found my long-term partner at the lowest point of my life. Anecdote. HasanAbi Productions makes you look sexist, to be honest, lol. Okay, well, HasanAbi Productions is just one of many in the industrial complex.
Now that you're not racist, now that you don't hate women, or now that you dunk on these like right-wing guys, what are we going to do with these guys? Because we're looking at like a sea of dudes who need help. What are we going to do? But like, we feel like we should stop and end right there at that. We've debunked them. We've destroyed them. We've torn down all of their stuff, right? What are we going to do now? Yeah, like high five, good job. What are we going to do now to reel these people back in? Because we can't just stop there. That's where the anti-racism comes in. That's where the deprogramming comes in.
There's been very little intentional guidance given to a lot of these men and boys around their specific standpoint in this process. The only ones speaking directly to them are the ones that tell them to resist that change. So shockingly, I have fans that are both fans of me and somehow Kevin Samuels. And the only thing that makes sense of that from my perspective is that these are young men and boys that are so hard up for useful images of black masculinity that they'll take damn near anything, even if it doesn't make sense when you put them together.
Guys, I'm able to do it because I'm also a very carbon copy expression of I'm the vehicle of that patriarchy. People see me, and Tiana from Fab Socialism was the one that made me realize this the most. She said, I was afraid to click on your videos because you look like the type to do it. You look like it. And I was just like,
but that's actually great. I feel the exact same way too. That's me to a T as well. As also a big boy, I have a lot of bro-like tendencies. I look like a bro. I act like a bro. That's it. That's what this dude gets it.
You know, maybe I should change up my thumbnails. Maybe I shouldn't put myself in the thumbnails. And it was actually the folks from Standard, shout out to folks from Standard, that was just like, no, I think that's the reason why you resonate, because people see your picture. They see very much presenting masculine, strong, bear type, and then you spit something different. And it takes them for a loop.
And that's really one last thing I want to get across.
Bro, you wish you were as yoked as this guy? Okay, true. He's like way, way, way more yoked than me, obviously. I just meant that, like, I simply meant that, like, I have a look. On top of that, I'm white, right? So I'm literally white, cishet dude who is talking about these sorts of issues. But if you're following along, like, you have the capacity to subvert their expectations, sure, But you also have like people that don't feel comfortable entering this space because they're like, well, this guy's probably just another pisshead white guy who just sucks. He's probably racist. He's probably, he's probably transphobic, homophobic. You know what I mean? And that's how it works. White chat always telling you that you're yoked?
Before I wrap this very long video up. There's a possibility that this long into the video that some of you do not agree with me, but you're watching all the way through just to make sure you've done your due diligence. I appreciate that. And maybe you're not interested in moving further left. Maybe you're a staunch conservative somehow in some form or fashion. Maybe you're one of the many men that liked me and Kevin Samuels. Wherever you are in that spectrum, I don't need you to read capital or bell hooks or anything else explicitly that is going to pull you into a leftist ideology. But what I will challenge you to do is to deconstruct how you see yourself as a man apart from the messages and images that you see in the manosphere. That we have now so much proof and evidence is not helping you, is not helping us as men out here in the world. I get the appeal of easy.
I'm gonna be real and say, as a woman, it took me a little while to get used to her style. As someone who was used to more soft boy content from You Are a Secret Soft Boy lol. Yeah, no, for sure. But also the other side of that is that like the way I look and the way I carry myself, the way I present myself, I believe is very successful at reaching an audience that normally would not listen to someone. That's why I always say, like, I try to use my privilege for good. And what I mean by that is, like, for someone to watch ContraPoints, who makes incredible content, so much better content than myself, obviously, they have to still, to a certain degree, be comfortable with listening to a trans person. There are people out there who don't want to listen to a trans person at all. Okay? Like, the people that need to listen to ContraPoints the most, and I think she does such a good job of like catering the messaging directly to people like that, and uses internet culture as a good bridge, right? But there is still plenty of people, which I know Contra also recognizes, are not going to listen. So I try to make that pathway open for people to go down that pipeline. I was always pretty left-leaning, but I had a blind spot on trans issues. I definitely wouldn't have listened to her a couple of years back. Yeah. Rhetoric like yours or Chapo's really brings people in by showing that the left isn't just whiny pussies who can't have fun or curse ever, which I love. Yeah. I had run into an out of context clip months before I actually started watching, and that's the main thing that I was turned off about you. You look like an angry nihilist himbo bro that couldn't define intersectionality. Wait, what? But yeah, the thing is, like, there's plenty of people who are straight up, straight the up, just terrible. There's plenty of people that have the capacity to learn. There's plenty of people that can get better, but it's going to take someone like myself, not for every single instance, but someone like myself who they are preconditioned into believing, who are preconditioned into listening. So I try to use that juxtaposition for good. I do want to see the clip. Aesthetic-based leftists have always turned me away from exploring the space more. You were the first content creator I found that actively pushed back against that. Yeah. I think what turns you off to the edgelord, neckbeard, alt-right guys is the fact that you're conventionally attractive. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I found you in Chabo because all the most annoying anti-Bernie people whined about you nonstop. Yeah. Not saying it's accurate, but do you think being tied with the TYT brand made people not give you a chance because they kind of have the reputation from the far right as the whiny leftists? Yeah, certainly. But ultimately, it doesn't matter because, like, I have become a content creator on my own that has my own perspective and has my own brand, I guess. So much so that it doesn't matter at this point. Having said that, we are going to be moving